Hello everyone and welcome to my Japanese journey. This is the second learning stream, but I would just like to apologize for a couple of technical difficulties I was having last stream. I worked them all out, but in my haste I made a few mistakes on stream. So first of all, in my past work, I missed the Dakuten on Desu over here, and I think I made a couple of mistakes on the particle wa, but I'll get to that in a minute. Most importantly, have you been studying? Because if you don't study, you won't get anywhere. I just want to make that absolutely clear. By this point in time, you should have a passive familiarity with Hiragana. If you don't, then, well, practice. But by this time, if you were paying attention, you should be able to do the entire Hiragana chart off by memory. Like so. A, I, U, E, O, Ka, Ki, Ku, Ke, Ko, Sa, Shi, Su, Say, oh man, I'm actually, or sorry, Sa, Shi, Su, Say, sorry, yeah, even I make mistakes, Say, and Sol. But I got it in my head after thinking about it. Ta, Chi, oh, yeah, I did make a mistake. So, Su and Su should be swapped. This is the S character, and this is the T character. And that's what happens when you have streaming jitters. Ta, chi, tsu, te, and to. Let's see, ha would be next. So, ha, he, sorry, I'll make that bigger. He, fu, he, and ho. Ha and ho can be a little confusing because they're pretty similar. It's just an extra line on that. But moving along, we have ma, and you don't want to confuse that either because it's a double line like ho. Mi, mu, and I find the easiest way to remember mu is it's like su except reversed and with a line. I don't know why, but the M characters were always hard to stick in my head. Me is annoying to write, I find. And mo. Moving on, we have na, ni, nu, and not the best nu in the world, but close enough, ne, and no. The, okay, not the best the, but whatever. Di, oh, why am I forgetting? Yeah, okay. Di, do, de, and ro. Ru and ro are very similar, except ru has the little loopy-loo. That's how I remember it. And then we have ya, you, and yo. And in the final line, we have wa and wool. And the last particle is n. Now, n is the only particle, or sorry, is the only letter that doesn't have an attached vowel to it, and you will never see a sentence with n at the start. It's normally at the end, or sorry, you'll never see a word with n at the start. It's always at the end of a sentence, or normally. There might be an exception case I'm not aware of, but that's the general gist. At this point in time, you need to get this in your brain, because I'm going to start phasing out English from time to time. I won't do it at the very start, and I'll be writing English characters below hand, but having hiragana in your head is key. You need to realize that before we move on. And this lesson, I won't cover the intricate details of katakana. I'll make a full tutorial on that next lesson, so get ready for that. In any case, won't be needing this anymore. So, moving on, I wanted to say before, I was really winging it, and I didn't have that much content because I only covered 2 classes, and that was the basics of hiragana and katakana. But now that I'm 2 weeks into lectures, I actually have stuff I can regurgitate. But going on the Marugoto book, we have hit about here in classes right now. This is the table of content. We've gotten the hiragana and katakana inside our brains, and we've covered how to refer to ourselves, family members, numbers, nationality, things like that. We're only just start hitting kanji, and it's only giving us a very, very small amount of it. It's only given us 4 characters at present. Tabimas, which means to eat. Oh wait, they haven't covered tabimas. Okay. They give us sakana, which means fish, niku, which means meat, tamago, which means eggs, and mizu, which means water. But you don't have to memorize that just yet. We will get to kanji when it's time. Moving on, though, I figure a good starting point for today is how to refer to oneself and the basic particles. So, moving along in the book, yeah, as you can see, it's basic kanji tutorials, how to refer to simple words like asa, day, asa, hiru, day, yoru, hiru is day, yoru is night, asa is morning, isu, chair, ocha, tea, toke, time, umi, yama, inu, naku, zashi, sukune, nihongo, tempura. It's just giving us simple words and how to say them in hiragana. Nihongo, which means Japanese. Yeah, simple, simple, simple. If you buy the book, it will help you go through some lecture details where you have to listen to and choose the correct word. There is a listening audio guide that is available for people who purchase the book. So it would say inu, and then you have to guess which one is inu. And inu is dog, if you haven't figured that out. So konu, obviously wrong. Ime, obviously, ime, which is obviously wrong, and inu, which is the right one. And yeah, that's the benefit of the book. It gives you a lot of easy cram tutorials. I recommend picking it up. It is pretty useful for first-time goers. Duolingo also covers this content to a decent degree. However, I found Duolingo's pace to be a little weird. But just make sure you're cramming that hiragana and katakana inside your head, because we will be using it. You're going to have to do a lot of drills to make it stick over time. If you're making mistakes at the start, don't worry. Everybody makes mistakes at the start. I've been learning Japanese for a few years, and even I made a mistake in the hiragana chart, because, you know, to be honest, how often do I write Japanese? Not often. That's one of the reasons I'm teaching you guys, so I can learn better myself. Okay, so, moving on. Let's see. Yeah. Guides for Hiragana, guides for katakana, which we will hit next lecture. But how I want to start this is with watashi, the most basic way to refer to oneself formally. Both men and women can use it. Okay, let's adjust the camera. I'm just looking at this both on stream and on my chat, so it's a little weird to see how long... Sorry, I'm a little behind on the chat, so let me just take a look there. Alright, that makes it a lot easier to see what I'm doing. Now, one thing I would like to point out before we move on, I linked a learning aid in the description. The entire purpose of this book is to get us to N5 Japanese. Now, N5 Japanese is the most basic form of fluency. It ranks from N5 all the way down to N1, and, well, once you can take the N5 mock test and not mess up anything, you can say you can speak Japanese. But before that time, I am being critical on how much Japanese you know. But don't worry, that's the purpose of the stream. We will get there eventually. But yeah, one thing I'd like to show you is in the description I have linked a tutorial, or sorry, not a tutorial, a learning guide for the N5, N4, 3, and 2 vocabulary, kanji, grammar, and expressions. So at the end of all of our learning for N5, you should be able to have about 200 kanji inside your head, about 700 words inside your head, and actually be able to understand the grammar. This is the most basic kanji for N5. This is what we got to get in our heads. But I won't scare you with this just yet. We are quite a ways away from learning all this, so don't worry about that. Moving back to the book, let's talk about how to refer to oneself. So, most basically, as I said before, is watashi. I'm gonna get a blank piece of paper here. Yeah. Alright. So, unlike the particle wa, which is this, and I'll explain that again in a moment, we write watashi like this. Wa, ta, shi. Watashi. Now, this is the most formal way of saying I, and sorry, I'm just getting a call real fast. Sorry about that. My phone is also my top-down recorder. So, yeah. Watashi can be used both formally and informally. It's kind of a catch-all for saying I. If you want to play it safe, stick with watashi. But getting more gendered, men often refer to themselves as boku. Boku. And that's for men. The men version of I. And women can refer to themselves as atashi. Atashi. Boku, atashi, watashi. Now, there are a lot of other ways to say I. Off the top of my head, I can think of ore, washi, waga, jibun, but most commonly you're going to hear boku or atashi, or watashi in formal settings. If you want to make sure you're not messing up, I suggest sticking with watashi. Now, moving on, referring to other people can get kind of complicated because saying you in Japanese can often be mistaken for being rude. Oh, yeah. It's kind of lagging. The video sound is fine. Okay, why isn't Twitch appearing in the chat on the video? That's the one thing I don't understand. right. I'll have to figure out that as well. I thought I fixed that error. Oh well. I'll get to figuring out OBS a bit more later. Regardless, getting back to learning, as I mentioned, saying you in Japanese is kind of rude straight up. I wouldn't want to refer to anyone outside of their name. But obviously, you won't always know a person's name right off the bat. So if you don't know a person's name, I wouldn't recommend saying this too much after learning their name, but refer to them as Kimi. 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 And that means you. So, using that in this sentence, I'd say, Kimi wa osake ga suki desu ka? Do you like alcohol? And, yeah. However, once you learn a person's name, I would start supplementing that instead of Kimi. I know it sounds a little weird in English, but it's not in Japanese. So, instead of saying Kimi, you'd say, Amy wa osake ga suki desu ka? And, yeah, that's how you would say, that's how you'd refer to a person directly. Now, when referring to okay, now another thing I want to make absolutely clear, if you'll notice in translators, you'll often see anata as you. Na ta. So, anata is a way of saying you, but it's something lovers often do. It's something you'd say to a girlfriend, boyfriend, wife, husband. So, I don't recommend saying anata to other people in place of kimi. Kimi over anata any day. So, watashi to kimi. Me? Well, me and you. Moving on, how to refer to people as a group. Now, there's two ways of doing this. When referring to us, we like doing this. You want to say, okay, is that mute? Yeah. You want to say, wa, ta, shi, ta, chi. Watashi tachi, or can often be slanged as watashi tachi. Now, this is the we form of referring to oneself. We like doing this, we had a good time, etc., etc. Now, there's two ways of saying you guys. There's the way of saying everyone, which is minasan. So, mi-na san. And there's that at the end of a the in at the end of a word, as I was saying. Sorry, I'm getting another call. Sorry about that. As I said, my phone's kind of on Wi-Fi, and it's also my thing. As I said, sorry, I apologize for that. But minasan would be the best way of saying everyone. Minasan, ohayo, everyone, good morning. The other way of saying that would be anatatachi, but I don't recommend using that, and I'm not going to write it out. That's something I would say if I wanted to be semi-rude. But, yeah, let's not worry about that. Now, going on, we've talked about how to refer to oneself and how to refer to others. So, now that we have that most basic part of grammar, we can move on. So, now we're hitting the stage where we want to start forming sentences. we want to start saying, I like this, or I do that. So now we have to get into particles legitimately. Now, as I said before, I made a mistake on stream with the wa particle. I'm gonna zoom that in a little bit so you can see a bit nicer. Let's fix my camera up. Alright. So, when referring to, the wa particle, as I said before, deals with subject. And it isn't to be confused with the katakana for, the hiragana for wa. We write it with ha and not wa. The reason for this is a lot of Japanese history. Honestly, I did the research before this video, but after about 5 paragraphs of, learning about this and that in the Hosho era, I just decided, screw it. We use ha because Japanese is weird, instead of wa, but we pronounce it as wa. Moving on, how we use this properly in a sentence with watashi would be something like this. And this is recap from yesterday's video. So, wa, ta, shi. And as you'll notice, we're using the wa character here. That is because it is a part of the word watashi. So, watashi, I, wa, subject, now this is where we can start making complex things. I'll start getting into vocabulary with different words, with more words later, nouns, verbs, etc. But let's see what the guidebook actually says for how we want to do this. Oh, it puts us right into countries. Okay. So let's actually get out the katakana chart, because we are going to start using countries. And countries are written in katakana because, with the exception of Japan, because in katakana, those words are considered foreign to Japan. So, as I am Canadian, I will say, watashi wa Kanada-jin desu. So, we want to get our katakana chart out, which is ka, na, da. So da is off the ta particle with a dakuten. Kanada jin. Now, jin is the way of saying person in Japanese. The other thing I'd normally use on a sentence is go, which is the language. So by saying jin, I am saying I am a Canadian person. And jin is, I won't use the kanji yet, just to make things easier. We use the shi particle, we use the shi letter with a dakuten to turn it into ji, and an jin. And then we end our sentence with desu. Congratulations, we've written our first sentence in Japanese legitimately. Watashi wa Kanada jin desu. I am Canadian. I am Canadian. Watashi wa Kanada-jin desu. Now, if I wanted to turn this into a question, as in I'm asking someone's nationality, I would say Kimi Kimi... Yeah, Kimi wa... Ka... Na... Sorry, I gotta get better at writing my katakanji. Sorry, my katakana. Well, sorry, my words there. Kimi wa Kanada-jin desu ka? Now, Japanese say ka at the end of their sentences in order to denote a question. So the question mark's kind of redundant here, but I'm just showing you for something a little more colloquial. It's something you'd see more in, it's something you'd see more in online chat than anything formal. Sorry, I'm just getting that book out of the way. So, Kimi, you So that would be the most literal way of saying it. Kimi wa Kanada-jin desu ka? Are you Canadian? Alright, moving on, that is how we refer to other people. Now, when it comes to other countries, how Japanese refer to Japan is not with Japan-jin desu. It's with Nihon. Nihon is the word for Japan in Japanese. Nihon. So, if you wanted to ask a person if they were Japanese, you would say, Kimi ga Nihon-jin desu ka? The book gives a couple of examples of other countries. Doitsu being Germany, Chugoku, China, Egypto would be Egypt, Kankoku is Korea, Australia would be Australia. I will provide grammar sheets at a later date for you to learn. However, if you look at the Japanese N5 grammar guide in the description, it lists a whole bunch of words for you to learn. As soon as I find a good grammar learning application, I'll link it in the chat. However, I don't have one at present, and my classes haven't recommended one. I guess they expect us to get by on learning in class, but to be honest, I don't think that alone is enough. So actually, at my school, I started a Japanese learning club, because the pace is really quick. I'm surprised we hit kanji already. Now, moving along. Actually, let's take a looky here. Yeah, it's looking at different ways to refer to countries, which I just said. Alright. So, let's see here. Yeah, it's giving that. Oh yeah, how to refer to a person with honorifics. Now, in English, we have words like Mr., Mrs., Miss. In Japanese, we have certain different words. The most common you should use in a business setting is san. San. Yeah, you can see that. That's a little bad. Okay. So, san is the most, well, not the most formal, but the most common way to refer to one's superiors as well as people you haven't met. Now, now, if you want to refer to someone even more formally, you would say sama. Sama. However, I recommend not using that in regular speech. That's how you refer to someone of higher status. that's how you'd refer to the Emperor of Japan or a god. It's something not used for regular people. So, often you'll hear kami-sama, kami being god, but when you're talking to regular people, only go as high as san. Sama is way too much. Now, how to refer to kids would often be with kun or chan. Kun being for boys, and chan being for girls. And I just want to make sure I absolutely have that right. Yeah. So, kun for boys and chan. Chan. Yeah, chan. Chan for girls. If you're wondering if I had some confusion there, it was whether it had a ya letter beside it or not. I'll have to make sure if that writing is right or not. The other way I'm thinking about it inside my head is chan like this. Oh, I'm right at the bottom of the page. I'll make a note of that and make sure I'm right with my teacher. I'm not sure if I have that spelling correct, but it's either chan or chan. I think it's chan. I'm like 90% sure this one's right. But I'll look at that later. Sorry, I digress. Back to the lesson. If you were, now, a common word you'll hear in Japanese is sensei, which is how you refer to a teacher or a doctor. And that's spelt like this. Sensei. Yeah, that spelling I know I got correct. So, a sensei is how you'd refer to your teacher, but you wouldn't add san at the end of it. That's semi-redundant because sensei is a title. It's kind of like saying doctor, I guess, in English. Except teacher also falls under that category. So that's how you'd refer to a doctor or a teacher. Moving along, we don't really have to worry about any other ways of referring to people. If you meet someone, let's say you're meeting me, for example. So Amy, and even though my name's spelt with an A, I'd be writing it like this. Amy. Amy-san. The dash is just for your reference. It's not actually in the characters. Just letting you know. Amy-san. Yeah, sorry for the lagging video on my webcam. I'm still, I have to do it through Wi-Fi, and I'll figure out a fix for that soon. But as long as I take breaks and, you know, have the lag catch up, it should be okay. So, Amy-san. You could also refer to me in this context as Amy-sensei, if you so wanted to. Sensei. Your choice. However, my ego isn't great enough to make me think I could actually call myself sensei yet. So let's just stick with san. Great. So that is every way we have to refer to someone, and the particle wa, and, ha, and desu. But we'd say wa. Now, as I said in my original stream, desu is how we inform tense on a sentence. We would modify desu if we wanted to turn it into past tense or future tense or a question, etc., etc. I'll get more into that as we get going with other particles, though. I don't want to bog you down with too much at once. So now, let's go to the no particle. No denotes ownership. So if I said wa, sorry, I'm having problem spelling all of a sudden. Watashi no, I'm saying mine. Instead of I've removed the subject particle of wa and replaced it with no. And that changes this from concerning me to my. So, watashi no... let me think of a word. Watashi no... Oh, yeah, let's start incorporating some katakana, just so we get a little bit easier to go. So, I'm gonna make sure everything's nice and written out. Watashi no... let's do laptopu. So, there is no character for L, as I said in Japanese, so it would be da pu. So we would put a dakuten on fu. But as I said in my initial stream, the H series has 2 dakuten. It is special that way. So we would use the circle one. Dapu to. So then, to. Pu. Sorry, I'm getting another call. Sorry about that. Dapu tapu desu. Sorry for my bad writing. I'll get better in time. So, rapu to desu. So, as I said, katakana is generally used for English words or sorry, foreign words as well as names from foreign languages, etc., etc. So, can you guess what that is at all? Daputapu. Daputapu. Laptop. Watashi no laptop. Watashi no laptop desu. There may be other contexts for using the no particle, which I'll have to research for you, but at present, we just want to worry about the ownership one. Watashi no laptopu kimi no posokon, which would be PC. It's a shortened form of personal computer. Pasokon. Yeah, sorry, that would be with a pa, my bad. So... Pa, so, con, and I know the so the reason I wanted to bring up this is because the so and n characters are so similar in katakana, it can often be confusing for newcomers. The easiest way of denoting is whether or not the smaller stick is going down or across. If it's going down, it's a so. If it's going up or across, it's an n. Yeah, I know, it's confusing, but if you drill it in your head, you can remember the differences. The other two really annoying particles in katakana are shi and su. So she is the one that goes up, and su, oh, sorry, I'll write that out in English below. She is the one that goes up, and su is the one that goes down. Yep, that's a pain, I know. But you'll get it in your head eventually, I promise. As long as you study. As I said before, in the first video on YouTube or in the comments on Twitch in the first lecture, I posted 2 applications that are really good for learning. Alright, so, null particle. Moving on. There are other particles. I'm not sure how much I should drip feed you at the start. I don't want to bog you down with too much, but yeah, I think I can throw another particle or 2 at you without getting too confused. Let's move on to let's move on to mole. The mole particle. So, mole designates also and as well. So, if I was to say something like Tashimo, I'm saying me too. Make sense? I'll do other contexts for mole in future videos when we get more deep into grammar, but I just wanted to make sure that I got all of this in your head. The next particle we'll cover just quickly, and I will be recapping particles in future videos just to make sure it's drilled in your head, because this is the bread and butter of Japanese. Well, actually it would be rice in Japanese because they eat rice with everything. Another particle that we will be covering today is to. Now, to is the easiest way of describing to is it is the and particle. So if I say something like kore to sore, kore, sorry, kore to sore, I'm saying this and that. Yep, and I'll cover no, mole, and to in later videos as well. There are other particles still to learn, but I kind of want to drip feed them to you, and I'll be reinforcing them. But the one you absolutely need in your head, because I'm not going to cover it again, is wa. Make sure you got wa inside your head. Good. Moving on. So, let's see where the book wants us to learn now. Oh yeah, I should probably cover not. What else should I cover? Sorry, I didn't think I'd cover this much content so quickly. Alright, so I'm going to cover janai now. Now, as I said with desu, that is how we generally modify tense in a sentence. It always goes at the end of a sentence, desu, unless some special conjugation happens, but we'll worry about that later. More importantly, there is now with desu we can modify this into many different things, like de ki ma sen, which means this is one of the special tenses that I was talking about earlier that I said I wasn't gonna get to, but I totally just got to it. I'm smart. Anyway, dekimasen is a way of saying I can't. Dekimasen. And that is one of the only times I can think of off the top of my head when desu would come before a verb, uh, which in this case, this combination, dekimasen, deki. Actually, technically, this tense isn't a desu tense. This would be the verb ki. Okay, I just realized that. Cool, I'm learning too, even on stream. Regardless, I treated it like a desu tense in this context, but I just realized I was wrong. That's kind of cool. Didn't think actually teaching people would reinforce Japanese inside my head. More importantly, yeah, scratch that. Let's get back to desu. So, with desu, this can be modified in a lot of different ways. Deshita being past tense, desho being could be. I'll get into desu tenses a little later, but this one isn't a desu tense, so I want to make it absolutely clear. Janai desu. Which I just want to make sure I'm getting right. Yep. So, can we see everything okay? Yeah. Ja with a tiny ya. Ja nai. Sorry, had a brain fart there. Nai de su. That would be the way of saying the negative form of desu, which can get a little confusing when we get into masu verbs later because masu has masen, but verbs is another story. So, if I was to say, using this in a sentence, if I was to say, watashi wa ni hon go janai I mean, did I mess up my ja? Oh yeah. I totally did this backwards because I'm an idiot. Janai. Desu. I'm saying I'm not Japanese. Watashi wa with Janai. Being not. Alright, cool. And that is all the grammar I want to shove in your head for this lesson, because if I put too much in an hour, it's going to start falling out. So, going back as a quick recap, we've covered watashi, kimi, watashi being I, kimi being you, but again, use a person's name when you know that name. We've covered Nihon, which means Japanese. We've covered san, kun, chan, sama, but, you know, you wouldn't want to use sama. We've covered a little bit of katakana. As I said, you need to start cramming your hiragana and your katakana in your head. I'm going to start phasing out this English. So, you know, make sure you get it in your head. I'll recover katakana in next week's video, and I'll dedicate a full thing to that. We covered watashi, anata, kore and sore we covered briefly, but I'll cover that later. Yeah, dekimasen. We covered the particle wa, no, mo, to. Wa is the only one I absolutely want to make sure is in your head, but getting a head start on no, mo, and to and making sure you understand those is good. Next week's video will cover katakana as well as some more particles. So be tuned for that. Thank you very much for joining me in this stream. Does anyone have any questions before we wrap up? Anything anyone doesn't understand? Sorry, I'm not sure why that didn't appear on my OBS. I just realized Twitch is more caught up. You don't have a category either. What's that referring to? Sorry, I think my Twitch is lagging. That's weird. Alright, well, my audience is fairly small, so if anyone has any questions, they can direct message me. I will put more, I'll be covering katakana next week, as well as some more particles. So, thank you very much for joining me, and I hope to see you again. Have a good one. Jenny!